I would not take long. I think you've given a perfect introduction to the analytics maturity model. I would basically say business complexity cannot be reduced. It can only and always be managed. And there we need to focus on process improvement, analytical capacity enhancements, which generally comes through driver-based planning, and managing large volume of inputs from multi-source. And here I want to be cautious that it is to distinguish between noise and focus on trends. And this is what various organizations grapple through in the entire process. And this is how some of the leading organizations with the use of technology, more robust processes, and integrating their drivers and scenarios into the overall planning process manage the complexity and get closer to the business. So I think what various boards have been working on is towards defining this process and constantly refining this with newer advances in the field.
Uh, Saurabh, what has been your analytical transformation journey in the last 15 years? I know that you shared your experience at New York FP&A board on a number of occasions. And would you like to share with us what happened? What happened in the last 15 years, especially in the last 2, 3, 5 years?
Yes, indeed. So those of you, I mean, I think there are a lot of colleagues coming from different age groups, a lot of millennials in our community, but those who have been in the process for 15 years and more would still remember Excel-based tools, a lot of judgment, flat files, loading, and then wearing. And entire discussions were uh, line items driven, P&L driven, and very judgment oriented and personality driven. So that was initial experience. I think as the time moved on in my life, I had started seeing that about 5 to 8 years ago. We started using heavily business intelligence. Drivers became more important. Multiple non-financial information got integrated into the discussion, but it was still a combination of manual versus external data forces. And then the time was something like about 3 to 4 months, usually in a dedicated planning cycle. What we've seen recently, and again, recent is let's say 2 to 3 years, and it's like more how it has been coming through is the advanced analytical tools have now found way into a more continuous process, and where uh, drivers are more profound, defined, standardized across the organization. Multiple information bases, data sources are automatically integrated. The manual work in putting things together has greatly reduced. So the time to connect to business intelligence, develop automatic queries, scenario planning, FX updates, etc., have been reduced, and it has been replaced with more profound discussion around a what are the facts on the ground. So, for example, I'm going to focus on the visionary state. Here, the discussion has moved away from subjectivities and it has now gone more towards, for example, in terms of market analysis, funnel, conversion rate, install base, number of hours, time, utilization rates, and away from more P&L driven discussions. So now the P&L driven discussions are still there, but it's very fact and driver based now.
Saurabh, thank you for sharing your past experience. What about the future? How do you see FP&A evolving in the next 5 years? What is FP&A of 2025, let's say?
Okay, so Larissa, I'm going to probably cheat from some of this work done from McKinsey, but I think so. This is a slide that I've got from McKinsey's, uh, but what it very clearly lays out, the future is going to be a process of uh, there's the new world is more visual. So a lot of analysis and data is going to get into a visual interface. The time and energy and the skills would be driven by our analytical capabilities and ability to narrate and understand the information system, and not to prepare and work on collecting the data, cleaning the data. And their heavy focus is now on automation, robotics, uh, uh, and getting multiple sources of data connected. Finance, or the future finance professionals, future CFOs, would accelerate decision making, and therefore they would have multiple scenario planning. They would be working on very advanced analytics, and the models that we currently are working on, and those would be enhanced, would be integrated with active decision making. And finally, the way I see, and this is where the finance profession for tomorrow would be an integral partner of decision making, or the sounding board to active business. And here, prescriptive analytics supported with uh, uh, machine learning and artificial intelligence in terms of trying to forecast the problems before they come. And I'll give you an example. A lot of artificial intelligence is happening in terms of seeing the future, predicting where the customers would need something, and based on the data that's been collected through our active usage, and then supporting or predicting how the customer would in future behave. So I think by 2025, we should see momentum shift in how data plays the role in decision making. And if data is supporting decision making, they would have to be integrated into our planning process.